Hello, CIT 336, and welcome to my presentation on named versus unnamed placeholders. My name is Sarah Akula, and I'll be walking you through how and when to use these placeholders to protect your code from malicious SQL injection attacks. So first, I'd like to cover why you would want to use placeholders. You use placeholders in conjunction with prepared statements, and these placeholders take the place of a blank space in your code where otherwise an attacker could inject malicious SQL code into your code that could otherwise alter the SQL-based application, such as a database, that you are using. For instance, they could create tables, they could alter tables, they could drop tables, they could do all sorts of things. But by using a prepared statement with a placeholder inside of it, any data that you have in your code will be safe from a SQL injection attack. If you would like to use a placeholder, there are two things that you need to remember. The first is that placeholders must be bound to variables, and there are two ways to do that. The first is by using the bind param method, and you use that with named placeholders. And the second is by using the bind value method, and you use that with unnamed placeholders. The second thing you need to remember is that placeholders are the last piece of information added right next to the values, all the way to the right. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Now this is an example of some code without a placeholder. As you can see, there is no prepared statement here either. This means that this particular piece of code is very vulnerable to a malicious SQL injection attack. Here is an example of some code with unnamed placeholders. Unnamed placeholders are denoted as question marks. I've bolded them in this example. If you look at the top line all the way to the right, you'll see them next to the values. Because they're there, nobody can inject malicious SQL code into the space that otherwise would be unoccupied. Named placeholders act very similarly. However, unlike unnamed placeholders, they have an actual value associated with them. In this example, that would be fname, lname, and city, which I have bolded. Unlike unnamed placeholders, all named placeholders are preceded by a colon. And just like unnamed placeholders, they also take the place of any holes in your code where someone could come in and inject malicious SQL code. Now, when using named and unnamed placeholders with an array, there's something that you need to keep in mind. You have to take special note of the position and order of the unnamed placeholder in the array, or else when you add and delete variables, things could get a little messy and out of place. However, you don't have to be as conscious of this when you're using named placeholders, because by giving it the name, it already denotes the position in the array. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation,